A man wanted in the murder of his pregnant girlfriend was involved in a standoff with police Saturday morning. Take a listen.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, I'm the mama, and I think it's gonna be a boy.
Going on, it's your boy Sosa. I'm the daddy. I'm telling girl, you feel me? Telling girl it's a girl, I already know it, man. You feel me? Brandon, I'm a cousin. Kid's gonna be a girl.
Friday. I'm a friend of Jazz from work. And I think it's gonna be a boy.
Imagine being 9 months pregnant and completely sure you've made it through the hard part. You've got a hospital bag packed by the door. You already know your daughter's name, Kiani. Just weeks earlier, you threw a princess and the frog-themed party and watched everyone you love guess boy or girl on camera, hugging you, laughing, telling you how excited they are to meet her. And 9 weeks later, you're dead, beaten with a metal pipe, strangled, stabbed, in your own bedroom, by the man standing next to you, in every single one of those party photos. That's not a movie plot. That's what happened to a 27-year-old woman named Jasmine Cooper in Greenville, North Carolina, on the 9th of July, 2023. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how something like this can happen right under a family's nose, and exactly what the warning signs looked like. Because they were there. They were always there. If you're new here, this is where we dig into real cases, not for shock value, but because understanding how these tragedies unfold is honestly one of the best tools we have to prevent the next one. So hit subscribe, tap that like button, and let's get into it because this story is going to make you angry before it makes you sad. Before we talk about how she died, let's talk about how she lived. Because that's what true crime content so often skips, right? We jump straight to the crime scene and forget there was an actual person here. Jasmine grew up in Greenville, raised by her mom, Sharon. By every account, she was the kind of person who lit up a room warm, funny, fiercely loyal to the people she loved. She was already a mother. She had a young daughter from a previous relationship, and by all accounts, she poured herself into that role completely. Motherhood wasn't just something that happened to her, it was something she chose to be great at. And that matters, because it tells you who she was walking into this next relationship. Not naive, not inexperienced. A grown woman, a mother, someone who had already built a life for herself. So here's where it gets complicated, and honestly, here's where a lot of us are going to recognize a pattern we've seen before, maybe even in our own lives. Jasmine met Kayshawn Williams, a truck driver a couple years older than her, and on the surface, this looked like a good one. He was affectionate. He posted about her constantly. Flowers, gifts, little surprises, the kind of stuff that makes your friends say, "Aw, you two are so cute." They filmed vlogs together. They looked, from the outside, like one of those couples who had actually figured it out. 3 years in, he proposed. She said yes. They moved into an apartment together on West Arlington Boulevard, and not long after that she found out she was pregnant with their daughter. Here's the thing about abuse, and I want you to really sit with this. It almost never announces itself at the beginning. Nobody meets someone and thinks, this person is going to kill me one day. It creeps in. It gets normalized one incident at a time. And by the time it's undeniable, you're already deep in it emotionally, financially, sometimes literally trapped by a lease or a child or a wedding date. According to court records and reporting from local outlets, Jasmine's family later told prosecutors there had been a pattern of domestic violence in the relationship. Not something that came out of nowhere, in July 2023, something that had been building. And this is the part that should stop you in your tracks. On May 15th, 2023, less than 2 months before she was killed, Jasmine went to the courthouse and filed for a restraining order against Kayshawn. She told authorities he had beaten her badly enough to send her to the hospital, and that he had threatened to kill her. Let that sink in for a second. She saw it. She named it. She did the thing we always tell victims to do. She went to the legal system and asked for protection. And it still wasn't enough to save her. I'm not saying that to blame the system entirely, and I'm definitely not saying it to blame her, not even a little. I'm saying it because it's the single most important fact in this entire case. A piece of paper cannot physically stop a man from picking up a metal pipe. Restraining orders are a tool, not a force field. And that gap between the legal protection on paper and the actual physical safety a victim needs is where so many of these tragedies live. Now here's where the story takes a turn that honestly still gets to me every time I think about it. In April 2023, Jasmine and Kayshawn threw a big gender reveal party. Friends flew in. Everyone was buzzing, taking turns on camera guessing whether it was going to be a boy or a girl. It's the kind of video that shows up in everyone's group chat, pure joy, pure anticipation. The reveal didn't go the way Kayshawn wanted. According to people close to Jasmine, something shifted in him after that day. The engaged, doting partner started pulling away. He grew distant, cold, and soon, according to what her family later told investigators, he began accusing her, the woman carrying his child, of cheating on him. Not because there was any evidence, because his jealousy needed somewhere to go, and paternity became the target. Think about that for a second. A man who once posted flowers and surprise dates online was now, weeks later, questioning whether his own unborn daughter was even his. That's not logic. That's control, looking for a new angle after the old one stopped working.
You ready, Ken? What you think it? Oh, okay. You ready, Ken? What you think it is? A girl, boy? Boy, I thought you just said you wanted a girl, Ken.
No, he said he wanted both. We already
Oh,
know
you
that
did?
one.
Oh. Okay, that's everybody.
I'm the cousin. I think it's a girl.
Okay. So now I'm just gonna. Go ahead, Mama.
I'm the mother, and I'm the one that knows what a baby is.
Okay, perfect. And what do you want, though?
What I want, a girl.
Okay.
Here's what makes this case so eerie, and honestly kind of gut-wrenching. A lot of this played out on camera. Jasmine and Kayshawn documented their relationship constantly on social media. Silly videos about pregnancy cravings, couples challenges, the stuff millions of couples post every single day without a second thought. And now, knowing how the story ends, watching those same clips feels completely different. There's a video of Jasmine, very pregnant, just being playful and normal, and Kayshawn behind the camera, smiling, joking along. To anyone scrolling past, that's just a cute couple killing time. Nobody watching it in real time could have known what was actually happening behind closed doors. That's the uncomfortable truth about domestic violence. It usually doesn't look like anything from the outside. The most convincing performance an abuser gives isn't for their victim. It's for everyone else. Okay, I need you to brace yourself for this next part, because it's genuinely difficult to hear. On the morning of the 9th of July 2023, an argument broke out in that apartment about the baby, about paternity, about everything that had been simmering for weeks. According to prosecutors, at around 3 a.m., Kayshawn called one of Jasmine's friends, convinced she was cheating on him. That friend later told investigators she could hear Jasmine screaming in the background while he demanded answers. What followed was catastrophic. Prosecutors say Kayshawn assaulted Jasmine, slamming her head into a wall, beating her, and ultimately striking her with a metal pipe before strangling her. She was 38 weeks pregnant, full term, days, maybe hours, from meeting her daughter. Emergency responders rushed Jasmine to ECU Health Medical Center. Doctors performed an emergency C-section and worked for nearly an hour trying to save the baby. It didn't work. Jasmine and her unborn daughter, Kiani, both died that day. And Kayshawn? He called 911 himself, claiming he'd just gotten back from grocery shopping and found her unresponsive. A story investigators would dismantle within days.
This is viewer video as police with guns drawn were moving in on Kayshawn Williams at a home in the 1100 block of Eagle Chase Lane. Police made repeated calls for him to come out of his house with his hands up. He eventually came out of a back door of the house and laid down onto the ground.
This is usually the part of the video where I tell you investigators had to dig for weeks to crack the case. Not this time. Detectives collected physical evidence at the apartment, a metal pipe, blood evidence linking directly back to Kayshawn's own account of events. Surveillance footage from a nearby store placed him buying groceries around 9 a.m. And a neighbor's security camera caught him leaving the apartment shortly before 10, timing that simply didn't line up with the version of events he gave police. 6 days later, on the 15th of July 2023, police tracked Kayshawn to a relative's home in Pitt County. What followed was a tense, 2-hour standoff before he finally walked out with his hands up and was taken into custody. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, one for Jasmine, one for their unborn daughter, Kiani. This case dragged through the North Carolina court system. At one point, a judge ruled prosecutors could pursue it as a capital case, meaning Kayshawn was facing the possibility of the death penalty. But just this past February, in 2026, Kayshawn Williams pled guilty to first-degree murder for the deaths of Jasmine Cooper and their unborn daughter. Judge Marvin Blount sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. No trial. No years-long back and forth in front of a jury. Just a guilty plea, and a life sentence that means he will never walk free again. For Jasmine's family, her mother, Sharon, her sister, the daughter she left behind, it's not the ending anyone would have chosen. Nothing brings Jasmine or Kiani back. But it is, at least, an ending with certainty. No appeals dragging on for a decade. No chance of him ever being back on the street. So what do we actually take from this? Honestly, I think the biggest lesson here isn't some twist you didn't see coming. It's how ordinary the warning signs looked. Possessiveness. Sudden jealousy with no real evidence behind it. Isolation from friends who tried to raise concerns. A restraining order that couldn't physically stop what came next. None of that is exotic. None of it is rare. If you're watching this and something in it feels familiar in your own life or in someone else's, please take it seriously. Reach out to the National Domestic Violence. Jasmine Cooper wanted to be a mother of 2. She wanted to raise her daughter Kiani the same way she raised her first child with everything she had. That future was taken from her by someone she trusted completely. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Drop a like and tell me in the comments what stood out to you most about Jasmine's case. And if you or someone you know needs help, please don't wait. Take care of each other. I'll see you in the next one.